Okay, so this section that we're going to talk about is operant conditioning. It's a form of learning. This particular part of learning is where you learn that your behavior is associated with a consequence. And so you're either going to keep doing that behavior again because you like the consequence, or you're not going to keep doing that behavior because you don't like the consequence. And so that's how you can see on this picture, you see we've got reinforcement that makes you want to do the behavior again, or punishment that makes you not want to do the behavior again. And then you learn, am I going to continue or discontinue that behavior? One of the biggest people to know as far as psychologists in this section is B.F. Skinner. B.F. Skinner is responsible for a lot of the studies done for operant conditioning. He even coined the term operant, and he created this chamber called the operant chamber that I'll show you on the next slide. I love this picture of B.F. Skinner with his pigeon here and his mini pigeons. A lot of his research on rewards and punishments were with pigeons, and he was able to teach pigeons to do really incredible things within the limits of what a pigeon can do, but from reading the word turn and turning, or reading the word peck and pecking, to playing ping pong. He was able to teach pigeons to do a lot of different things with rewarding and punishing. And so the stuff to follow will be his ideas. So next we've got the operant chamber. He actually called this the operant chamber. Today, most people just call it the Skinner's box. You can even see there's the title of this box over here where the mouse is called Skinner box. And a lot of people call it Skinner box. He called it the operant chamber. And in the operant chamber, this is where you would teach the animal to do some kind of behavior. You could issue a consequence. You can see the little mouse is pushing a lever that will distribute a food pellet. The same thing is with the pigeon. The pigeon can get a treat by pushing a lever, and so, or doing whatever behavior it's required to do. And then you have the shock generator that would shock on the little bars beneath that would issue the punishment. And so this would be a place where you could teach this animal a reward or a punishment. So you can also see there's one other element here of the operant chamber that is related to receiving the reinforcement. You can see on the picture of the mouse, there's a green light and a red light. This is called the discriminative stimulus, and or you could call it the signal stimulus. This is what tells you that, or signals that if you do the action, so the action that we want the mouse to do is push the lever. And so the signal is saying, if you do the action, you will receive the reward. And so this particular stimulus, this signal or discriminative stimulus, if the light is on, it will say, if you do this behavior, the reward will come. If the light is off, you can do the behavior, but the reward won't come. And so that's one aspect of the operant chamber that kind of identifies for the animal that when the light is on, if I do the behavior, I can get the reward. And so that's one part of that operant chamber there, is the discriminative stimulus or the signal stimulus. Okay, so we're going to keep going with this, and we're going to go into other parts. We're going to break down reinforcements and punishments. So for a reinforcement is something that will make the behavior continue. So if you receive a reinforcement in one way or the other, you will continue doing that behavior. You like reinforcements, and so that just bolsters or encourages the behavior to continue. There are two types. So we've got primary over here with the donuts and the burgers and all of the food over here. A primary reinforcement is something you don't have to learn as reinforcing. No one had to teach you to like food. Your body innately needs food, and so you don't have to learn that food is pleasurable. And so that's primary. If you give a primary reinforcement to a baby or a dog, they will find it reinforcing, and they don't have to go through a learning process to realize it's a reward. They will have an innate feeling that they like that. And so food and water, those are some innately pleasurable reinforcements that you don't have to learn to like. On the other hand, we've got a secondary reinforcement, which is the money. Money you have to be taught to like. Somewhere you had to learn learn that money had value. I just always take this back to, is a baby going to like this? A baby hasn't had all these experiences in the world, and so if you give a baby a primary reinforcer, they will innately like it, like food. But if you give them a secondary reinforcement, they're not going to be reinforced by it. If you give your child, your little 6-month-old money, they will not find it rewarding because they haven't learned the value. So a secondary reinforcer is something that you have to learn has value. It is reinforcing, but you have to learn that it is reinforcing. So other things would be certificates, trophies, stickers, things that you have to learn that it is a reinforcement. Okay, so then we're going to go to positive and negative reinforcements. Positive does not mean good and negative does not mean bad. A positive reinforcement, positive means something has been added. So I've been given something, and that is reinforcing. A negative reinforcement is not, a negative thing in psychology is not usually bad. Negative reinforcements, they are reinforcing, so you will want to continue the behavior that you're doing. It just means something has been taken away from you. And typically that means something you don't want. So let's go from some examples here. If we go to this side over here with the dog treat, a positive reinforcement is this dog treat. The dog is receiving a treat. They're getting something added to their life. They're receiving a dog treat, and so that is positive. It is in addition, and so now they want to keep doing that behavior because they've received a dog treat. On the other side here, we have a negative reinforcement, which you and I would love negative reinforcements. A negative reinforcement is where I will continue doing this behavior because I have had something taken away from me that I do not want. So this negative reinforcement is having chores taken away. So a parent might say, man, that was great that you got 100% on your homework or your test. And so you know what? You don't have to do chores tonight. And so that was reinforcing to you. You want to keep getting good grades because your parent has taken away the chores that you have to do. So it is reinforcing. Something is taken from you, but you're glad that it's taken away from you, so you'll continue that behavior. Okay, next is punishments. Same way, you can have a positive punishment and a negative punishment. A positive punishment is something that will stop you from wanting to do the behavior. It's punishing, but you've been given something you don't want. So it's positive, and so I have added something to you, and it will make you stop doing the behavior. So over here we've got Ralphie from A Christmas Story. Ralphie said some things that he shouldn't have said, so his parents want to punish him stop doing those behaviors, so they've added a bad taste to his mouth. We've got this little girl over here on the other side, and she is receiving a negative punishment. So she is being punished. We don't want her behavior to continue, and so we have taken something away from her, and she's upset about it. We've taken something she wants, and so maybe she was playing with her friends, or she was playing with her siblings, and so we have taken away her time with her friends or her siblings, and she's having to sit in this chair, and she can't be with her friends. And so anytime you see positive punishment or negative punishment, it's always a bad thing. It's always punishing. Positive just means we've added something the person or animal doesn't want you to give to them, and negative punishment is we've taken away something they wanted to keep. Both ways are punishing. One is just adding and one is subtracting. The same way with reinforcements. Reinforcements continue the behavior. One is positive, meaning you add, and the other is negative, meaning you subtract. In my next video, I'll talk about schedules of reinforcement. So make sure you stay tuned. That's really important that you watch the schedules of reinforcement, which is B.F. Skinner's idea of when to administer the reinforcements and how often. Okay, I hope this was helpful. Let me know if you have any questions.